Welcome back to TheChowTimePod. It's your host, Red. I got a video today from Strong Successful Male. This is actually his normal channel. The last one I did was his Eclipse channel, which is awesome because it has a lot shorter videos on there. So it's easier for me to do videos like that. I'll do more of them because everybody seems to enjoy them. But this one, women try to baby trap men. And men are kind of getting wise to it in a sense that they've already protected themselves. Just women don't know. So please subscribe down below. I'd really appreciate that. And let's get to that chow. It's chow time.
Alright guys, welcome back to Strong Successful Male. So for today, I'm going to go over a pretty entertaining email that was sent from a subscriber. This from a guy, sounds like he's probably in his 50s at this point. And he shares his story about events that happened 25 years ago. Quarter century, back in the late 90s, shortly after he got divorced from his wife. You're going to see in the story, guys, that he eventually, once he's single and all that, starts dating this young gal, pretty girl, having a good time with her, but eventually she wants more, as the young girls do. As you can probably imagine, family, kids, all that wasn't his thing. And you're going to see one thing leads to another where she tries to baby trap the guy. Unfortunately, joke was on her because he had a vasectomy. And it's a pretty entertaining story, but as well as very important lessons. The important lessons, guys, at the lengths that some, and I'm using the word some gals, will go or capable of to get what they want, to rope a guy in, to trap a man. And you must be aware of that and how it happens. They're not all sugar and spice and everything nice.
I mean, yeah, even the Powerpuff Girls were pretty bratty. You know, it's this sugar and spice, everything nice thing is it's a lie. Straight lie.
Number two, how it is so important to understand that if a girl does in fact get pregnant, she's going to go for the guy who's the best candidate to be the provider. That's why all the nice guys get hit up on to take by the single MOMs and all that, because they are going to be the ones that are going to be steady. They'll provide, because Chad and Tyrone ain't going to provide. Chad and Tyrone, they don't have a job. And they're usually living in their mama's basement or something like that. And the third one, why, if you choose to do it, and you do give it a great deal of thought, how a vasectomy will definitely save your ass plenty of times. Now, obviously, that is an important decision to make, and you can't just decide on the when you're running on the treadmill at the gym. You got to do a lot of thinking about that, pros and cons. In this story, this guy already had kids, so he realized I'm not going to have any more kids. And how that vasectomy can definitely save you.
I agree with this. Like what he's saying about vasectomies is 100%. You know, don't just do it because you want to sleep around and just sling dick. Like that is not the right choice. The right choice is if you really don't want kids, or if you already have kids and you're like, you know what, I'm ready to not have any more kids. You know, to have a very long, thoughtful process when it comes to a vasectomy. You know, that's just my suggestion, his suggestion. Don't just go out there at 20. I'm like, you know what? I don't want kids. I had a friend that got it when in his 20s. I told you guys this story before. He had to lie to the doctor to say that he already had 2 kids for him to be able to get the vasectomy, because he went to like 3 doctors and they all, like, the first 2 denied him because they're like, you're too young and you might want kids later. So he realized how the game worked. So he went to the third one. He's like, oh yeah, I already have 2. And they gave it to him.
And it did him here. So quick one here, but you guys will enjoy this. He says here, hey SSM, I've been following your channels for a few months now and I love the content. Thank you, brother. I appreciate that. Here's my story that I think is kind of funny. It occurred about 25 years ago, about 5 years after my divorce. A couple of years after my divorce, I decided to get a vasectomy. I had kids already with my ex-wife, and I really didn't want any more. Very smart, bro. The last thing you need... I know a guy, and I'm not going to give too many details here because I want to get out, but let's just say he had 3 children from his first marriage, and then ended up with a younger gal, who's probably 15 years younger than him. And next thing you know, she's pregnant.
Oh, jeez.
Has to start all over again later in life. And then a couple of years later, guess what? Again, she's pregnant. Now he has 5 kids. If he had the vasectomy early on, this shit wouldn't be happening. So important thing to remember. The young gals, you get involved with the younger gal guys after a divorce. Understand they probably want to have kids, so remember that. Anyway, he says here, one night I went out to a bar with a friend of mine from work. He introduced me to a young gal he was friends with who happened to be at the bar with some of her friends that night. We hit it off, and I asked her out. We began going out 3 or 4 times a month. I work in the oil field on a rotating shift, so I kept odd hours and days off. She was a few years younger than me and was a lot of fun to hang out with. We often went out dancing or to dinner. Okay.
Men that work at the oil fields actually make very good money, but it's a very grueling work. Especially if you're like in Bakersfield and it gets to like 115 degrees. Whew.
Okay. No harm, no foul. Younger gal, having a good time, This is after your divorce, you're ready to date again. But remember, all along he has a vasectomy. After a few days, we started sleeping together. This was a casual relationship and we both agreed to it. Notice that we both agreed to it.
They always do in the beginning.
I did not see any reason to discuss my vasectomy with a casual fling. After about 3 months of casual dating, I started to get the feeling that she wanted more from the relationship. That's why I tell you when they say, oh, I'm cool with keeping it casual, or I don't want to get married one day, or anything like that. We've all heard it. It's bullshit. Because sooner or later, they all want to be Mrs. Somebody. At least for the fucking ceremony in the ring.
Mm-hmm.
I started getting the feeling she wanted more from the relationship. I took her to dinner one night, and towards the end of the meal, I told her I wasn't interested in anything more, and that we were in different places in our lives. That was good, and you were making it clear, no long dragging out anymore, and you're honest with her, but, well, she didn't like it. I'm divorced with kids, which means I have commitments to kids, activities, and visitations, which I did not involve people I was dating in. She was younger and had never been married and was looking for more than I was willing to provide in a relationship. I told her I didn't think we were a good fit long term and I did not want to see her anymore since she wanted more and I was in a completely different place in my life. Now, I'm sure she obviously liked you and that hurt a little bit, but at least you were honest with her. You could have dragged her along much longer than that, but when you sensed, according to you, that she was, you could tell she was falling for you. She was more into you than you into her, which actually is the ideal situation. But she wanted a relationship you did not. It was best you cut ties. She can't say you were leading her on. And she did say she wanted a casual thing. We all heard it. I told her she should find someone who wanted the same thing she did, and that if we continued to date, she wouldn't be able to do that. I dropped her off at her apartment and naively thought that this was the end of it. Bullshit. Oh, hell no, because you are the guy that obviously were older, stable job and all that, and she's ready to find a provider. Things were quiet for a couple of days. Then she began calling me, trying to convince me to continue dating and how we would make a good couple. Remember what I tell you guys, women cannot take rejection, and they usually handle it in one of two ways. Either they go freaking psycho on you, and I don't need to elaborate on that, or B, or number two, they will then become more obsessed with you because they're trying to win you back, and the rejection makes them obsessed. I told her I'd not changed my mind and was not going to. After I stopped answering her calls at home, she tried to call me at work.
Wow.
At the oil fields.
Yeah, right.
After the first call, I stopped answering and returning her calls. After a few days, it seemed like she got the message and the call stopped. No, she didn't. She now has to up her game in trying to, get with you. A few weeks later, I was home in bed and after working an overnight shift when the phone rang around 8 o'clock in the morning. Having gotten home and gone to bed at 6 a.m., I was a little groggy when I answered the phone. Not bothering to look at the caller ID, it was her. She immediately says, "We need to talk." I said, "We didn't have really anything to talk about," and she replied that she was late. And how you know it's my kid? Remember, gentlemen, this is the dude that had the vasectomy, but he didn't mention that. Starting to wake up, I quickly understood what she was saying. But being a bit of an ass, I answered, "Late for what?" She angrily said, "You know what I mean. I missed my period." Now I knew what was going on and what game she was playing. So, she has other friends that she's having good times with, but who's she going to? The most stable provider. I was amused as I knew that it was impossible that I could be the father, as my vasectomy was done only a couple of years ago, and I had been tested to ensure that the procedure had been successful. The doctor had assured me that he had performed the procedure. It was triple redundant and would never fail or grow back. Follow-up testing at 2 weeks and
Yeah, I didn't know it could be triple redundant and can never grow back. I know there's chances, but I didn't know you can do it that way too. Interesting.
6 weeks showed no swimmers. There'd be no accidental pregnancies. Okay, this was as sure as can be. So I told her, well, tell the father congratulations from me. She angrily screamed at me through the phone, "It's yours, you asshole!" I then told her that's not possible because I had a vasectomy and I have laboratory proof that I can no longer have kids. Have a nice life and don't ever call me again. And I hung up the phone. Surprisingly, I never heard from her again after that. Just goes to show you they'll try every trick in the book to get what they want. And that, gentleman, is the perfect example of what I told you in the beginning. Get the vasectomy if, again, you've thought it through and never want to have kids. Whether you already have children already and that's like, that's it, no more of these little motherfuckers, I'm done with kids. Or simply you just don't want to have
Him saying these little motherfuckers just made me laugh so hard. Fucking SMS.
kids and you're sure of it. And keep it quiet and watch what happens. And how they will always chase after the best candidate to be the provider. And also, I forgot to mention at the beginning, how they'll say they'll be cool with a casual relationship, or I don't want to get married one day. That's not me. Bullshit. And there was one in the beginning I mentioned too, but I can't think of it right now. But anyhow, amusing story. Good for you, bro. I'm glad you got the vasectomy, but just, oh yeah, and they'll do anything to get the guy they want. You know, it's just ridiculous. But anyhow, guys, let me go for it. So just remember, you want to get a vasectomy one day, here's proof why it's definitely helpful, but really do think it through. And of course, all the other important lessons. All right, guys, that's it for today. Be sure to comment down below what you think about this. And guys, you got a good story to share, definitely email it to me. StrongSuccessfulMale.
Well, that was some, interesting chow. He does still go over quite a few stories like this of, men getting vasectomies and women still trying to baby trap them. I always say women are pretty ruthless. They will lie, manipulate, any way possible to get what they want, especially the man that they want. So please like and subscribe down below. I really appreciate it. And catch you guys next time. It's chow time.